I really thank you for taking the time. I know you flew here today. We just did a DrPhil episode, and the audience was absolutely spellbound. They were intrigued. You are a charming individual. You had them on the edge of their seats.
Well, that's why my wife married me.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is either that or she just had a weak day. It's
Well,
one of the two, right?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, I think we both married way over our heads, and let's just go with that.
That's for sure.
Bob, you've had certainly not a boring life, and we're going to use some of the things that we talked about on the show here, but there are some things I want to go deeper on. And for those of you that are listening, if you haven't yet seen the show that I did with Bob and Renee, just go to Merit Plus app, which you can get on the App Store or Google Play, and download it and click on the Bob Parsons show and watch that. It is really interesting. Now, Bob, you had a struggle with PTSD for a lot of your life, but you found some solutions to it. And one of the tools, and it is a tool, it's not a cure-all, easy fix. One of the tools is using psychedelics as part of a protocol in dealing with your PTSD. Let's talk some more about that. How did you find your way to that, and what did it involve for you?
Well, for me, it had been 49 years since the war, and I knew I had some problems.
Now, this was in July of 2018, right? So it's been
2017.
2017?
Yeah. I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to mostly be alone. I'm married to just a wonderful, wonderful woman. And I mean, to not be that way is not good. It's a good way to get cut from the team, Dr. Phil.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I was depressed a lot, and, sometimes just cried out of the blue, mostly when I was alone. Nobody would hear it. And anyhow, I did a number of things, but the thing that really made the difference for me was I happened to read this book by Michael Pollan called How to Change Your Mind. And it's a wonderful book. It reads like a novel. It is a treatise on psychedelics, what they've been used for over the years. And a better way to say psychedelics is plant medicine.
Right.
Right. And, and how they were first used in the country, how they became illegal, why they should be legal again, and how they can help. And, when I read that, I was just inspired. Now, I had never taken psychedelics in my life. And my first thing that I did was I told my wife, Renee, I would love to do this. And she had me hooked up with two guides that treated veterans and others with psychedelic, they called them tools, for a number of years, and they did it under the radar. So anyhow, I met with them a couple weeks later, and then not too long after that, we met in Hawaii, and over a period of 4 days, I was treated with 3 different types of psychedelics. The first was ayahuasca, which is a real nasty tasting thing that is made from a vine in South America. And that is a very potent psychedelic. And, when I did that, I did a, strong dose. But, it was obvious, as we got into it that, I could have used a stronger dose. But, we talked about things that were bothering me from my childhood to the war and that sort of thing. And, whenever you have to look, those sort of things head on, it is hard. And it is something that you really don't want to do again. But nevertheless, that's what we did. Some tears. And, I could feel a difference after that first day. The second day, my guide told me, he said, one of my guides, he said, I made a teapot of tea made from psilocybin or magic mushrooms. And he said, it holds 3 cups. I made it very strong, so you'll only need 1 cup. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I swear is true. I drank all 3 cups and I ate the tea bags. Now,
you went all in.
Well, I was righteously stoned.
Yeah.
And, that night I even flashed back. I had all sorts of tears, and we talked about many things. And, I could tell I was hallucinating at times. But after that, I was like, I was so much better. And the next day, we took the day off, and Renee and I, my wife, went and played golf. We played 9 holes, and Phil, I knew that all the fauna knew I was there. The trees and the plants and the grass. I could feel them. And, they were looking at me with kindness. Now that sounds nuts, but that's how I felt. And when I went to putt, it was like the grass on the green would say to me, hit it here, Bobby. And I would, and it'd go right in the cup. I have never putted that good before or since, but boy, I sure did with the help of the plants and the grass. So the last day, it was LSD, and that was that was very strong, and again, a lot of tears, a lot of seeing things that had me just tore up, and I just forgave it and looked past it. It's not like it. Before that, I couldn't even think about it, but then I could. Did it still bother me? Yeah, a little bit. But I was past it, and I was moving forward. And so after that, everybody noticed the change in me. My flash temper gone, my self isolation gone. I wanted to be with other people, go places with Renee, and it's just I was more kind, more willing to listen, more willing, and to compliment, so forth. The people that my wife was the first to notice. Then when I went to work, people were saying, "What happened to Bob? This guy here is the nicest guy I've ever worked for." It just was so nice. And like I've told you, it had been 49 years since the war. I finally came home.
Well, that's an amazing experience. Let's talk about when you were going through those 4 days. We know about the 3rd day, but so people understand if they're considering doing this, you went through and processed some things that you had been living with. Was there a time in there that you were afraid, that you regretted it? Was there a time that it was coming too fast or you were overwhelmed? Was there any downside
it
to it?
Nothing like that. Every fear I had just did not materialize. I felt and yet I felt in control. I felt like you have these illusions about psychedelics and all from the press exaggerating stuff where you're going to think you can fly and jump off a building. Nothing like that happened. I just felt pretty good. Now, was it hard? Yeah, it was hard. And, and going through, all the stuff that bothers you and you think, man, I sure don't want to do that again. But it really made a difference in my life, a wonderful difference. And I believe that however long I have on this planet, psychedelics have helped me, and I'll enjoy it a lot more now. The important thing to point out with psychedelics is if you just go out and drop acid or take mushrooms or ayahuasca, you may go for a ride, but it's not going to cure you of anything. It is the therapy that does the healing. The psychedelics make it possible. And by that, I mean the psychedelics make you receptive, make you, and want to make changes and do, and just of the mind to do it. But it's by going through that with the therapy and confronting those internal demons that's what makes the difference.